Well, news reports coming in of a UK fighter jet that has made an emergency landing at the Thiruvananthapuram airport. And this plane, which took off from a warship 100 nautical miles away, was unable to land due to rough sea. Later, an emergency landing was requested due to low fuel, as the plane has now landed safely. The plane that made an emergency landing yesterday at around 9:30 p.m. and currently they are waiting for the clearance from the multiple authorities, including defense. However, there is only said to be one pilot on board. Well, Arpita, what can you add as far as when it comes to this UK fighter jet making an emergency landing at the Thiruvananthapuram airport?
So, as per the authorities at the Thiruvananthapuram airport, they have clearly said yesterday at around 9:30 p.m. they got a call from the authorities asking the flight UK fighter jet asking for permission for an emergency landing, and they said the reason for emergency landing was they were running low on fuel, and as soon as they requested for emergency landing, the Thiruvananthapuram airport authorities gave them permission for landing, and the fighter jet landed at around 9:30 p.m. at Thiruvananthapuram airport. Now they are waiting for clearance from multiple authorities from the central government, defense and other authorities, so that they can get back to their destination.
All right, Rishabh, information coming in that the plane is still waiting as far as a clearance from multiple authorities, including defense, because this was a UK fighter jet that made an emergency landing.
Well, Amita, what we are given to understand that British F-35 fighter aircraft, and it made an emergency landing at Thiruvananthapuram International Airport at around 9:30 p.m. Last night. The reason, what we are given to understand that this took off from around 100 nautical miles from Indian waters, and because of the rough sea, it could not go back to the aircraft carrier, and after that, it requested for an emergency landing due to fuel shortage at Thiruvananthapuram International Airport. Only one pilot is on board the F-35, is what we are given to understand. It is currently parked at the bay and awaiting clearances from central government, to refuel and then to take off, as well as Arpita was also putting forward. What we are given to understand that this is a F-35B Lightning aircraft, which is operated alongside the Typhoons of British Air Force, the Royal British Air Force, and is the fifth generation stealth combat aircraft, which is known for its short time takeoff and vertical landing capabilities. But given the sea situation, the rough sea situation of the Kerala coast, it could not land there, and that's the reason that it has now made an emergency landing at Thiruvananthapuram International Airport. Right now, given that it's a foreign military aircraft in Indian airspace and on Indian airport, there will be a number of paperwork done before this plane is let go of. Refueling, again, is also something that needs multiple clearances, and that's the reason that even after almost 14 hours of landing, the plane is still at the bay of Thiruvananthapuram International Airport.
What role would be the Ministry of Defence playing here, Rishabh?
Well, if we talk about Minister of Defense, see, there are certain things. Given that it's a foreign military aircraft, it also means that there will be a lot of things. Whether this was actually an incident or a coincidence that it had to land in Thiruvananthapuram, whether there were other modalities related to it, that all will be part of an investigation. Preliminary inquiry will definitely be ensued before it is let go of. There will be diplomatic channels as well. London will be speaking to New Delhi as well about this aircraft and the pilot. Remember, pilot is in uniform. He is not a civilian pilot. He is a military pilot, and that's the reason that the modalities become much more complicated from here. Though both the countries, India and UK, are in, they both are in good terms, and they have done a number of air exercises together. F-35s are not something that are very unknown to Indian space, given the multi-country and bilateral exercises that we have undertaken in last many years. But given that this, in the circumstances that in which this aircraft has landed in Thiruvananthapuram, and as Arpita was also pointing out, that there was a kind of emergency call made to the ATC, Now, further course of action will be taken, and when it comes to defense, the clearance has to come in from Minister of Defense before the plane takes off again from Thiruvananthapuram International Airport.
So, Arpita, was it some maritime exercise that was taking place exactly that led to the conditions because of rough sea and the fuel was running low that prompted, when it comes to the UK fighter jet, to get an emergency landing request at the Kerala airport?
So there is no much information about where that flight was heading to, but as per the airport authorities, yesterday night around 9:30 they got a call saying that they are running low on the fuel and therefore they need emergency landing, because of which the airport authorities immediately gave permission for emergency landing, after which the flight made a landing at around 9:30 at Thiruvananthapuram International Airport.
All right. We are awaiting if there are any possible visuals that are now coming in. But exactly when it comes to the coordination between a warship and supporting assets, Rishabh, is there any information with that regards?
Well, if you can come again, Amita, I was just trying to pull out more information on this.
Yes. Have you been able to, as far as what would be the concerns now about coordination between the warship and the supporting assets, if this was any maritime exercise that was taking place?
Well, now, yes, now we have this confirmation. I was just waiting for a confirmation from some sources. What we're given to understand that Indian Navy was conducting a high-profile exercise, which is called PASEX, with UK carrier strike group in North Arabian Sea. The HMS Wales, which is an aircraft carrier of the Royal Air Force of United Kingdom, was here. The exercise is called Passage Exercise, which is full form of passage, and it was being conducted in Arabian Sea on June 9th and 10th, and this is something for which the HMS Wales was in Arabian Sea, is what we are given to understand. And UK carrier strike group was led by HMS Prince of Wales and HMS Richmond. Now what we are given to understand that this very F-35B took off from HMS Prince of Wales and had to make an emergency landing here. The exercise was on 9th and 10th of June, as we are given to understand, and the further maritime
so remains to be seen if there would be any official statement on this, as far as the UK fighter jet forced to make an emergency landing at the Thiruvananthapuram airport, and what is being said, because of rough sea it was unable to land. For the moment, Arpita and Rishabh, thank you very much for joining in. With that, we head into a short break.